Now, let us see about different classes of drugs like antiplatelets, anticoagulants, antifibrinolytics, and fibrinolytics. All of them I'll put together in one chart, understand them, learn the drugs. Now, antiplatelets and everything. See, it all starts with in a blood vessel, when lipids gets accumulated, there forms a kind of plaques. Plaques means nothing but a patch. When lipid level is increased, the rupture of this plaque happens. That is called plaque rupture. It all starts with plaque, a patch, rupture. Rupture means breakdown. So when plaque rupture occurs, what happens inside that is the rupture exposes certain biomolecules to the blood circulation. Biomolecules like collagen, von Willebrand factor, and tissue factor. All of them are inside this blood vessel. When blood vessel rupture occurs, all of them will get exposed to blood circulation. In the blood circulation, you have platelets. Collagen von Willebrand factor binds with platelets and it results in platelet activation. This results in platelet activation. Now, we have seen already about platelet activation. It involves three different steps. Initially, to the collagen and von Willebrand factor, platelets will come and attaches. Attachment or binding is known as addition. Once they attaches, they will secrete certain chemicals like ADP and thromboxane. Once the chemicals are released, all the platelets will call together. Activation of platelet occurs. Integrin receptors are developed on the surface, GP2B by 3A. After that, all the platelets will come together, binds with fibrin, and platelet aggregation occurs. So this platelet activation finally results in platelet aggregation. But in order to form platelet aggregation, they need the help of fibrin. What is the job of fibrin? Fibrin will ties all this platelet together and forms an aggregate. How fibrin is generated? Fibrin is activated through coagulation process. How coagulation process is activated? By this tissue factor. The job of this tissue factor is it activates thrombin. The job of thrombin is it converts fibrinogen to fibrin. So the job of thrombin is it converts fibrinogen to fibrin. Now the platelets will combine with fibrin and then it forms platelet aggregation. Platelet aggregation. Now see, the result of platelet aggregation and fibrin is formation of thrombus. It is also known as clot. So thrombus is a combination of platelets, fibrin, and trapped red blood cells. So what happens is all the platelets will come together and form an aggregate. When it combines with fibrin, all the platelets will tie together along with some of the red blood cells and forms a thrombus. This is how platelet plug or thrombus formation occurs. So this one is platelet aggregation. Platelet aggregate. Now, so understand thrombus is a combination of platelets, fibrin, and trapped red blood cells. Now, after that, what happens? The thrombus will try, you see, because of this rupture, the thrombus is trying to block that bleeding. Why all this process is happening? Whenever there is a blood vessel injury, when the blood vessel ruptures, immediately a clot forms so that bleeding will not happen. So it arrests the bleeding by forming this thrombus. After that, slowly the blood vessel healing occurs. Once it is healed, there is no need for thrombus. So thrombus will undergo breakdown of fibrin. Whatever the fibrin is there, it undergoes breakdown in a process called as fibrinolysis. Fibrinolysis. That means breakdown of fibrin. Now this occurs in presence of plasmin. Now from where plasmin is released? It is released from tissue plasminogen. Tissue plasminogen. So tissue plasminogen is activated and it releases plasmin, and plasmin will cause Fibrinolysis. Fibrin breakdown is there. So the thrombus clot will be removed because the blood vessel is healed, everything will become normal. So this is what is the normal process. Now in this process, this part, collagen von Willebrand factor activates platelet activation and platelet activation. This process is related to platelet activation. Tissue factor activation, thrombin, fibrin, this process is related to coagulation. So this entire process is known as coagulation cascade. Coagulation cascade. Whereas this process is known as platelet activation. Platelet activation. So this is about platelet activation. This is about coagulation activation. Now, both of them will form a thrombus. Now, once the job of thrombus is done, the fibrin is cleaved in a process called fibrinolysis. How it happens? By plasmin. When plasmin goes, breaks the fibrin, all the thrombus clot will be cleaved, blood flow will be normalized. This is platelet formation, that is coagulation, this is fibrinolysis. Now let us see the drugs. What are the drugs we have? Agents which are blocking platelet activation are known as antiplatelets. Antiplatelets. We have seen these antiplatelet drugs. What are the antiplatelet drugs are there? Aspirin, clopidogrel, ticlopidine, so I'm giving you some of the examples. Aspirin, clopidogrel, ticlopidine. Along with that, prasugrel, cangrelor, ticagrelor, abciximab, tirofiban, aptifepan. All of them I have covered in the chapter antiplatelets. How do they act? They inhibit the process of this platelet activation and aggregation. If it is inhibited, thrombus formation is inhibited. So these agents are called as antiplatelets. Now, coming to the other thing. So see that activation and formation of fibrin is called as coagulation process. Now, coagulation process is activated by coagulants. So coagulants are the drugs which will activate the process of coagulations. What are coagulants? Vitamin K will cause coagulation. This is nothing but vitamin K. Vitamin K, you have three derivatives out there, like phytanadione, menaquinone, and menadione. All of them are derivative of vitamin K. This is vitamin K2, this is vitamin K3. See the importance of green leafy vegetables, K, as well as intestinal microorganism will also synthesize certain amount of vitamin K. Vitamin K is a potent coagulant. It activates the entire process of this one, fibrin, which will help in the formation of thrombus. So the coagulation is activated by coagulants. Now, the coagulation process is inhibited by anticoagulants. Anticoagulants. Anticoagulants means the agents which are inhibiting. We have two classes up there. One class is oral drugs. Now, oral drugs, the job is they have to block this coagulation process. In that oral drugs, there are certain vitamin K antagonists out there. What are they? Vitamin K antagonists are warfarin, coumarin, and coumarin derivatives. All of them, their job is vitamin K antagonists. They block activation of vitamin K, or they block the function of vitamin K, and hence they are known as oral anticoagulants. So along with that, some other oral drugs are there. The drugs are digabatrin. Now, digabatrin is a thrombin inhibitor. You know, thrombin is required for the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. When thrombin is inhibited, what happens? Coagulation process is inhibited. Hence, it is called as anticoagulant. What is the example for that? Digabatrin. Now, there is one more drug is there known as rivaroxaban. Rivaroxaban. Now, rivaroxaban is an inhibitor of rivaroxaban inhibit XA factor. Now, see, while coagulation factor, there are a lot of factors. XA factor is known as Stewart-Provost factor. It is a serine endopeptidase. It is an enzyme responsible for lot of coagulant factor activation. See, this coagulation is a big process. I have simplified it and told you only thrombin to fibrin. Lot of intermediates are there. All the intermediates will get activated by factor XA, and that factor XA is inhibited by rivaroxaban. See, in GPAT, direct questions are being asked. I think in 2016 there is a question. The direct XA factor inhibitor is. In some other time there is a question about digabactin. What is the action of digabactin? It is a thrombin inhibitor. Now all these drugs are oral drugs. Whereas you have another classes there. They are parenterals. Parenterals are nothing but heparin and pyridine analogs. You know, heparin is there. Heparin, dalteparin, and fondaparinase. Now, all of them, heparin, dalteparin, fondaparinase, they are considered as indirect anticoagulants. The reason is heparin, dalteparin, both of them, when they are taken, they activate a factor called as antithrombin. They're not directly acting and inhibiting thrombin, they're activating antithrombin. The job of antithrombin is it will bind with thrombin and blocks the formation of fibrin. Because they are acting indirectly, they are known as indirectly acting anticoagulants. Whereas another class is iridine, bivalirudin, and lepirudin. These drugs are known as direct inhibitors because they directly binds with thrombin, blocks it. See, understand this. Digabatrin also inhibits thrombin. Pyridine, bivalirudin also inhibits thrombin. But the difference is digabatrin is a oral drug, whereas pyridine, bivalirudin are parenteral drugs. So these are anticoagulants. See, this bottom part is anticoagulants. These are coagulants. Coagulants are vitamin K derivatives. Anticoagulants, which are blocking vitamin K function or thrombin function. Now, what are the things we have seen? We have seen antiplatelet agents, anticoagulants. In anticoagulants, you have oral and parenteral. The other classes. See, this plasmin also will get activated. There are certain agents which are known as plasmin activators. What happens when plasmin is activated? They enhances fibrinolysis. So the agents which are activated plasmin are known as fibrinolytics. Fibrinolytics examples are streptokinase, urokinase, all triplase, and reticulase. All of them, they activate plasmin. When plasmin is activated, it causes fibrinolysis. So they are known as fibrinolytic agents. Now, there are agents which will inhibit. See, understand this notation. When you write a plus sign, that means they are activated. When you write a negative sign, they are inhibited. So there are agents which will inhibit plasmin. What happens when you inhibit plasmin? They become anti-fibrinolytics. Fibrinolytics means the agents which will enhance fibrinolysis, breakdown of fibrin. That occurs when plasmin is activated. So these are fibrinolytics. When you inhibit plasmin, they inhibit fibrinolysis and they become anti-fibrinolytics. Examples are tranexamic acid, and aminocaproic acid. So these are all the various kinds of drugs which will come under cardiovascular system. I'll explain it slowly. Again, listen to it, understand the significance of each and every thing. Now, the general process. So whenever a blood vessel rupture occurs, or whenever a plaque rupture is there, plaque is nothing but the lipid accumulation. When the accumulation is increases, that damages blood vessel. That's called plaque rupture. When plaque rupture is there, collagen, von Willebrand factor, and tissue factor will get exposed to blood vessel. This is a blood vessel. Now inside you have blood is there. When plaque is ruptured, the blood will get exposed to these biomolecules like collagen, von Willebrand factor, and tissue factor. Now, collagen, von Willebrand factor, when they are exposed to the blood, platelets will come and bind with them. That causes platelet activation. There are three steps involved in that: platelet addition, platelet activation, platelet aggregation. Platelet addition means to these receptors, platelets will come and bind. The binding causes platelet secretions. Platelet will secrete certain chemicals like thromboxane and ADP. The job of thromboxane and ATP is they are a kind of chemotactic molecules. Once the chemicals are released, all the platelets are called towards this injured area. Once they come, further activation occurs and the surface expression of GP2B3A receptors will be there. The significance of GP2B3A receptors is these receptors are bind with fibrin and all the platelets will tie together with these receptors to fibrin and it forms a clot. So where do you get fibrin? Fibrin comes from the activation of tissue factor. When tissue factor is activated, it activates thrombin. Thrombin converts fibrinogen to fibrin. This process is called as coagulation. It goes on with the help of a lot of coagulating factors. Once this occurs, the fibrin combines with platelets and forms a thrombus. So thrombus is a combination of platelet, thrombin, and trapped red blood cells. All of them will form a strong clot that is nothing but thrombus. Now, once the thrombus is formed, the job of thrombus is to arrest the blood leak or to arrest the bleeding. After that arrest of blood leak is there, slowly the blood vessel will get repaired. Once it is repaired, you don't need the thrombus. The thrombus breakdown occurs in a process called as fibrinolysis. What do you have in thrombus? Platelets tied together with fibrin with entrapped red blood cells. Once the tying thread, the fibrin is break down, the platelets will get segregated, no clot will be there. This occurs with the help of plasmin. Plasmin is released from tissue plasmin. So this process is called as fibrinolysis. Now, the first one, the platelet activation can be inhibited by anti-platelet drugs. Understand the difference between antiplatelets and anticoagulants. Platelets acting on these parameters. Platelets. Coagulation process is inhibited by anticoagulants. Two different things, antiplatelets, anticoagulants. Now, in antiplatelets, you have multitude of drugs are there. Aspirin, clopidogrel, ticlopidine, all of them will be acting on platelet-secreted molecules. What are they? Thromboxane and ADP. Thromboxane is inhibited by thromboxane biosynthesis is inhibited by aspirin. ADP receptors are inhibited by clopidogrel, ticlopidine, prasugrel, cangrelor, ticagrelor. After that, GP2B3A receptor activation is there. Let me write this down. The GP2B3A receptors are inhibited by drugs like abciximab, tirofiban. So all these drugs are anti-platelet drugs. Once this is done, let us see about this. So the coagulation is activated by coagulants. Coagulants, vitamin K derivatives. Phytanadione, menathione, all of them are vitamin K derivatives. Vitamin K1, K2, K3. They enhance the coagulation process and enhances the formation of fibrin. The agents which will inhibit coagulation process are known as anticoagulants. Anticoagulants means they are inhibiting coagulation process. How they are inhibiting? You have a couple of ways are there. One of the ways is by blocking vitamin K or by blocking thrombin. Again, in this you have two agents are there, oral and parenteral agents. Anticoagulants, you have oral agents and then parenteral agents are there. In oral agents, warfarin and coumarin derivatives. Warfarin and coumarin derivatives, both of them will inactivate vitamin K. If vitamin K is inactivated, coagulation will not take place. Whereas digabatrin inhibits thrombin. Digabatrin inhibits thrombin. Rivaroxaban inhibits factor 10A. Factor 10A is known as Stewart-Provis factor. It is an enzyme. It is a serine endopeptidase. The job of enzyme is all these coagulating mediators will get activated with the help of factor 10A. Now, factor 10A is inhibited by rivaroxaban. All these are oral agents. Intravenous agents. Whereas when coming back to intravenous agents, you have heparin derivatives or the pyridine derivatives. Heparin are known as indirect anticoagulants because they activate antithrombin, but antithrombin inactivates this thrombin. Whereas pyridine derivatives, they are direct anticoagulants because they directly inhibits thrombin. Read in Vivaldi. Leaving this, the other drugs. There are certain agents which will activate plasmin. The other agents will inactivate plasmin. When you activate plasmin, it causes fibrinolysis, so they are known as fibrinolytic agents. Examples are streptokinase, urokinase, alpha-plase, and beta-plase. Now, there are agents which will inhibit plasmin activation. They are known as tranexamic acid and aminocaproic acid. Because they are inhibiting fibrinolysis, they are known as anti-fibrinolytic agents. Now, when you see therapeutic uses of all these drugs, we have seen already angina pectoris. Angina pectoris, that unstable angina is because of platelet aggregation. To treat that angina pectoris, cardiovascular patients are suggested antiplatelet drugs. Either aspirin, clopidogrel, or diclofenac. So antiplatelets, one of the major uses to treat angina, unstable angina. Coagulants, there is a disease called as hemophilia, wherein blood clot will not form. To enhance clot formation, coagulants are there. Vitamin K, the job of vitamin K is this. Vitamin K enhances clotting process. Anticoagulants. Where do you use anticoagulants? What is the purpose of this anticoagulants? Now, there is a condition known as venous thromboembolism. Understand this word. Thrombus, when it when the clot forms at the surface of this blood vessel. Sometimes the thrombus will break down from the surface, gets into this blood circulation. That is a dangerous condition. That is called as embolism. So what happens in the blood vessel? A solid mass is moving that will go and block blood circulation. It is dangerous. That thing is known as venous thromboembolism. To control the thromboembolism, anticoagulants are used. When coagulation process is inhibited, thrombus formation is inhibited, embolus formation will be inhibited. So venous thromboembolism can be treated by these anticoagulants. Coming back. Now, this plasmin activator or fibrinolytics. Fibrinolytics like streptokinase, urokinase, they are sometimes used in acute condition of unstable angina. Let's say someone has got unstable angina, or the platelet formation has blocked coronary blood vessel. Along the platelet aggregate has also contained fibrin. When they know that particular thrombus is blocking blood circulation, which may sometimes block 100% blood circulation. To break the thrombus, streptokinase is given intravenous. It goes, cleaves that fibrin. Once fibrin is cleaved, thrombus dissociate. The streptokinase use is there in acute conditions or serious conditions of unstable angina. Now, in certain people, again, the excessive activation of plasmin will cleave all this fibrin. Proper clot is not formed. Then antifibrinolytics. So these are all the various agents which are used in cardiovascular disease. Now, this finishes cardiovascular system. We have covered all the things which are there in the syllabus. We started with cardiac physiology and then pathophysiology. In that pathophysiology, angina pectoris is discussed. After that, congestive heart failure. Then arrhythmia, antihyperlipidemia, hypertensions, and then all these cardiovascular agents. Now,